Welcome back to AzureTracks and MSCQF. With me today, I'll have Ryan McKay. He'll be joining me. We're going to talk about a few things coming up that have been very much hot topics. We've got a little bit of 365 news. We have a little bit of Azure news. And maybe we'll just roll the intro and then we'll be back with Ryan McKay. 1 second. So with me, I've got Ryan McKay. I am, of course, Andrew Lowe's. Welcome. We'll be broadcasting this week on AzureTracks, next week on MSCQF's channels. And thanks, Ryan, for joining me today. Really appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. Hey, I heard they missed us. So guess what? We're back.
Absolutely. We did have a little, we'll call it a summer hiatus. We've been in the trenches. We've been working hard. Through COVID, there was such an interesting lull for many people. There has been so many challenges. But on the technical side, when we kind of think about how things played out, right? So we think about when COVID hit, we really rolled out a lot of technology really quickly. And many of those organizations, especially larger enterprises, have been coming back and saying, hey, we need to secure this. There's a lot of risk here, and we need to lower our risk footprint, improve our security posture. We want things to be well configured, and we want our users to be safe. So not just the data, not just the environments, but also the users. So it's really important, kind of that whole focus with identity plus infrastructure, of course. So that's been me, and you've been dragged along with me on many a project here. So what have you been up to?
And absolutely, I'll echo those statements. And unlike this weird little sad face that seems to be showing up next to my picture here, which is kind of neat, but hopefully that isn't on the recording because I'm actually quite happy. But the same things. A lot of clients that we've been working on together, and clients that we've been working on apart, are in that same kind of scenario right now. Is through COVID and the beginning of the pandemic, there was just this reactive state of getting the organizations enabled for remote work and whatnot. Some corners may have been cut. Some things may not have even been addressed. And as the pandemic has hopefully, fingers crossed, approached, where we're at today, which I believe is the finishing stages, it seems a lot of organizations are coming forward, to individuals like yourself and myself and organizations that we're associated with, looking for, to kind of come full circle and grab that closure and address the things that may have been kind of put on the back burner, for whatever various reasons. So we've been incredibly busy this summer, both of us separately and together. And we apologize for taking a little bit of a break, but as David Lee Ross says, I heard you missed us, but we're back.
And exactly. So, maybe let's kind of dive right into some of these kind of current topics. We promise a lot with the banner below us here, but we just we're just here for a good time. So, we were chatting a little bit earlier today, and one of the things that's really interesting is Microsoft's little experimental POC with disabling basic authentication in random 365 tenants. Typically, we're a little bit more identity and security and cloud in general, but this one worth mentioning. Definitely a current hot topic.
Absolutely, and that was posted again in the message center in M365 this last week. You would have got an email on Monday summarizing that. And, the pandemic may have granted basic auth clemency during the pandemic, but, those sorts of things are over, and Microsoft is moving forward in turning off basic auth and enforcing the modern authentication security standard. It's been a long time coming. Companies have had a long time to prepare for it, and it really is just the right decision to make from a security standpoint. So it's coming. That said, to your point, Andrew, absolutely, it is a POC. It seems like there's no rhyme or reason. There's we're going to flip this on, but if you really want, you can turn it off after we flip it on, but we're still going to go that way anyway. So,
Yeah, well, that's important to note, right? Because they have given administrators a way to re-enable it really, really quickly. And that's the intent. And you go to the kind of that automated support bot and type in, I want to re-enable basic authentication, and guide it through the workflow.
Absolutely. And there might be situations where you want to do that. You might have a rogue entity in a European country using Thunderbird mail that you're unaware of, and not speaking from experience, but these sorts of things tend to get flushed when certain security features are enabled, I guess, depending on your perspective, or security features are disabled. So Microsoft does have a really good how to find devices that are using basic auth, and to prepare so that you can prepare your environment to address again, Thunderbird mail or whatever else is out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always interesting little things. So when we think about basic auth, maybe let's just say it's not restricted to applications, but we can be guilty of that on mobile phones using the native mail clients with ActiveSync, because ActiveSync is authentication, right?
And that's when you're going to find, I can guarantee, many places, especially the places where you haven't enforced the Outlook app, which of course we here recommend using the Microsoft Outlook app wherever possible. But in some situations, you have executives and whatnot that are particular to their Apple native email app, or the same with the one that's built into Android phones.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the interesting things around this, and I'll just bring up the article here, just really quick a reference for us. And this is a bit interesting, right? Because in this kind of the CV release in Message, we have some pretty good information on how long it's going to be disabled. So there's going to be for 12 to 20, or 24, 12 to 48 hours. And it's going to disable everything except for SMTP auth as a basic authentication. So that's kind of typically what like a lot of multifunction devices, scan to email kind of an idea, might be using if they haven't had firmware upgrades or things like that, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because one of the things, like I loved what you were saying, is there's a great KB article on how to find those devices. If you just go into your admin center where we're already at here, and you go into reports, and then you kind of drill down, you go to the mail, and then you can drill down in that blow up that comes up if you click on everything, and then you can hover over and see what you have. And then if you click on the day, down below is where you see the devices and accounts. So you can see exactly what and who is going to be impacted based on what protocols they're connecting with. So it's really critical that everybody kind of is aware of that. It's coming, just a few more days, and it's going to happen. So.
And you've had a reprieve for a number of years, a number of months. It seems like years with this pandemic, but things are going to have to move forward. So it's time to start focusing on business and start focusing on security, and this is something that's been coming for a long time.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think one of the other kind of hot button issues is, and I feel like we've been talking about this for too long, but multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised when we get engaged to work with one of our customers that is either wanting to get engaged with or wanting to deploy, I should say, MFA, or has been having trouble deploying MFA. It is difficult for those of you that forget how tough it was to do that kind of uphill climb. It's not always easy to just roll out. You have a lot of people working hands-on stuff. Let's say they may have a flip phone. It might not be a smartphone, so we have to have different considerations.
Yeah.
But there's ways to do it. and we can get it rolled out, and we can do it in, let's say, relatively short order. It does take some education. We have to tell people that it's going to happen, and it does change the way that things work. So when we combine this change with basic authentication and trying to get multi-factor, if we kind of roll those on top of each other, we just have to use a little bit of, I think of it as show and tell, but I suppose it's user education really at the end of the day. And we just educate people on what's going to change. How does it impact your day? What's your experience been with that? I'm surprised we're still talking about it.
It's ironic that you brought that up. I was actually speaking to a new client today on that very topic, and their desire to enable multi-factor authentication in their tenant and to transition away from it, from a standard authentication method. To your point, it was an educational moment, a organizational change management moment, if you will. And we're still talking about it because, again, it circles back to what we've all been going through for the last 18, 19 months is, this transition where, there's been other priorities that have just happened, right? And perhaps, unfortunately, multi-factor authentication was not one of those priorities. But now as we come out of it, and now that we, sort of embrace the hybrid office model, it is certainly something that is now in the forefront. So there's no excuse not to use it, but I can understand why companies haven't done it, to this point. More importantly, it's free. You can get into the security defaults for free with every tenant. It's enabled by default on all new tenants. And
it is, yeah.
And then, that kind of gets your foot in the door. And then from there, you can look at, sort of more of the advanced stuff, the conditional access and whatnot. Again, if your organization is looking for help, if you're looking for direction, looking for guidance and expertise, certainly we'll be happy to come in and help you and to help secure your organization, because that's part of what we do. Enjoy
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think I'm going to give a bit of a teaser. There's something I'm working on with one of my customers that I'm also parallel building a little bit of a demo. And as you know, I'm a big fan of PowerShell. But something I'm kind of, let's say, dipping my toes into a little bit is Azure DevOps. And I'm working on a little something with Azure Sentinel. Probably not surprised, I know, but say we're going to mix those two things together. And we're going to talk about building Azure Sentinel in a sustainable way that we can keep it updated with a lot of current releases. Ooh, exactly. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And I just wanted to kind of drop that as a bit of a hint. We have plans. We are going to be back, we promise, this time. And thank you so much for joining us on our journey back, as it were. So don't forget, you can find Ryan on www.msc.com. And my eyes are a little bit tired. We've got YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, SoundCloud. We're going to get all of those uploads reconfigured since we've had a bit of a break.
We use all of the things around here. I'm not all, but enough, right? So.
Absolutely, and I think I match plus I raise one with a little bit of Facebook and Twitch as well. So.
I'm not nearly cool enough for Twitch, but maybe
I gave up on being cool years ago, but nonetheless, we are on Twitch. So we'll add it maybe in the coming months. We'll get our fire reignited. I think we're 35 days away from the next Ignite, by the way, but maybe kind of aligning with that, we'll do a little bit of live streaming as well. So we'll use our special magical technology tools, and we'll get some stuff up on Twitch and YouTube on the live side. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you, Ryan. Really appreciate you joining me today. As always, it's just an absolute pleasure to have you and your beautiful brain here with me. So thank you again for joining me. And we will see you guys again very soon. Thanks for joining us. Not bad. Not bad. You put a lot of trust in the at the end there that I configured my audio feed correctly.
Again, Andrew, and
Well, we
thanks.
can't.